Hello students, myself Mr. Norman Fernandez from the Department of Physics. So today we are going to come across with the last unit of our subject, that is semiconductor electronics, electromagnetic waves and dual nature of matter and radiation. So my dear students, in this typical unit you can expect a minimum of 4 questions usually, and that too easier ones. How we can tackle them one by one? Let us begin with the session right now. In a n-type semiconductor, which of the following statement is found to be true? And the options given are like this. First one, holes are the majority carriers and trivalent atoms are the dopants. Second option says electrons are the majority carriers and trivalent atoms are the dopants. Third option says electrons are the minority carriers and pentavalent atoms are the dopants. And the last option says holes are the minority carriers and pentavalent atoms are the dopants. So as per the n-type semiconductors, we are well familiar with the theory part that it should be having pentavalent based atom, and moreover holes are the minority carriers in them. So the right option is the fourth one. Second question, a germanium specimen is doped with aluminum. The concentration of acceptor atoms is nearly 10 power 21 per meter cube. Given that the intrinsic concentration of electron hole pairs is nearly 10 power 19 per meter cube, the concentration of electrons in the specimen will be, and we are provided with 4 different options, all in terms of the powers. So let us begin with the solution part of it. So we know that the intrinsic carrier concentration Ni square will be equal to Ne into Nh. Further, as per the question which has been specified, we need to verify the concentration of the electrons, that is N suffix E has to be found out, and Nh, that is concentration of the acceptor atoms, is mentioned at 10 power 21. Ni square stands for 10 power 19 the whole square. This, on simplification, we will get it like this: 10 power 38 equals Ne into 10 power 21, and further reducing this we have Ne equals 10 power 38 by 10 power 21, which ends at 10 power 17. So it will be the first option. Question number 3, a semiconductor X is made by doping a germanium crystal with arsenic, Z equals 33. A second semiconductor Y is made by doping germanium with indium, Z equals 49. The two are joined end to end and connected to a battery as shown in the figure. Which of the following statements is correct? Now my dear students, let us go about with the diagram related to the explanation mentioned. So we have the diagram with X and Y represented like this and connected across a battery this way. They say in the question, semiconductor X is made by doping a germanium crystal with arsenic. And a second semiconductor Y is made by doping germanium with indium. So as per the theory part, arsenic belongs to a n-type semiconductor and indium belongs to the category of a p-type semiconductor. So, when a n-type semiconductor is connected across the positive of the battery and a p-type semiconductor is connected across the negative side of the battery, then the junction is said to be reverse biased, and hence option D is the answer. X will be n-type and Y is p-type, junction is reverse biased. Question number 4. Two p-n junctions can be connected in series by 3 different methods as shown in the figure. They are respectively like this. If the potential difference in the junctions is the same, then the correct connections will be. So, the explanation to this goes as follows. As per the first figure, we have p-n junction connected across one more n-p junction. As per the syllabus, we have, if p side is connected to the positive of the battery and if n terminal is connected to the negative of the battery, the junction happens to be forward biased. So, in this case, we come to know that this typical thing is found to be forward biased. I will write it in short as FB, forward biased. Whereas, for the second part that we are having, when this P is connected to the negative of the battery, the junction gets reverse biased. I will write in short as RB. Coming across the second figure that we are having, both the diodes, as we see, they are in the same order and they happen to be in terms of forward biased. And when it comes to the third figure, we find that N is connected to the positive of the battery and both are in the same order. So, these are found to be reverse biased. So, in the first figure, we have the first one to be forward biased, second one to be reverse biased. In the second figure, both are found to be forward biased, and in the third figure, we are having both to be reverse biased. So, as per the options that we are having, it will be the second one. In the circuit 2 and 3. Next question. The current through an ideal p-n junction diode shown in the figure is, and the diagram is having two power supplies, one on the left side with the specification of 1 volt and one on the right side with the specification of 3 volts. There is a p-n junction and across which a 100 ohm resistance has been connected. Okay. So, let us begin with the solution part right now. Let me take this diode into consideration. So, when it comes to the P side, we can observe that negative part of this voltage comes across the same. I mean to say minus 1 volt. And if you look at the N side of the diode, it will be the negative part of 3 volt battery which comes like this. So, definitely there will be a potential difference across the diode. So, our question says what is the current through that? Current is given as potential difference with respect to resistance of the resistor. Potential difference with respect to the P and N sides happens to be 2 volts and the value of the resistance comes with 100 ohms. So, 2 by 100 can be simplified as 1 by 50, and the simplification of this as per our solutions ends at 20 milliampere, which will be the first option. Question number 6. In the given figure, which of the diodes are forward biased? So, we find altogether 5 different figures. So, my dear students, the explanation goes this way. If the voltage across the P side is greater than voltage across the N side, diode will be forward biased. Whereas, if the voltage across the P side is less than the voltage across the N side, the diode will be reverse biased. So, let us begin with the typical explanation for the different figures that we are having right now. In the first figure, we find that the P side is in fact grounded and the N side is at 5 volts. So, as per the following 2 points that we have observed, the first figure represents a reverse bias. Coming across the second figure now, the P side is at 10 volts and N side is at 5 volts. Hence, the second figure will be forward biased. In the third figure, P side is at minus 10 volts and N side is grounded. So, hence the third one will be reverse biased. In the fourth figure, P side is at minus 5 volts and N side is at minus 12 volts. Since minus 5 is bigger than minus 12, fourth figure is forward biased. And in the last diagram, we find that P side is at 0 volts and N side is at minus 10 volts, and hence in the last figure it will be forward biased. And our question was which diodes were found to be forward biased, and we find that the second one, the fourth one and the fifth one happens to be the forward biased conditions, and hence the option B. Next question, a reverse biased diode is, as we saw just now, my dear students, if the voltage across the P side is less than the voltage across the N side, then such diodes will be reverse biased, and hence if you look at all the 4 different options here, first one happens to be unbiased as the voltage remains the same. In the second figure, P side is at 3 volts and N side is grounded. So, this will be the condition of forward bias. In the third figure, P side is at 0 volt and N side is at minus 2 volt. Hence, the third figure represents forward biased state, and the only reverse biased diode as per the given diagrams will be the fourth option, which says P side is at minus 6 volt and N side is at minus 3 volt. Since the voltage at P side is less than the voltage with respect to the N side, hence the option will be the last one. Question number 8. A diode having potential difference of 0.5 volt across its junction is connected in series with the resistance of 20 ohm across the source. If 0.1 ampere passes through the resistance, then the voltage of the source will be. So, according to the question, we can represent a diagram like this: a diode followed by a resistor connected across a power supply. Let us say, as per the question, potential difference of 0.5 volt across the junction means this will be taken as V1 to be 0.5 volts. Across the resistor, I will write it as V2, which is in fact the I into R product as per the Ohm's law, and here is the voltage given by the battery, which is V. So, in fact, the question specifies the resistor value is 20 ohms and 0.1 ampere passes through the resistance, 0.1 ampere passes through this resistor. So, total voltage will be equal to voltage of the individual ones. V1 stands for 0.5 and V2 will be equal to 0.1 multiplied by 20. So, 0.5 plus 2 will be available as 2.5 volts, and hence option C is the solution. Next question, which circuit will not show current in the ammeter? And we are mentioned with 4 different options with 4 different representations. So, let us see how to go about with the solution. In the first figure, we can see that there are 2 diodes connected in parallel, and that too they are found to be forward biased. Whenever the diodes are found to be forward biased, definitely current will be shown by the ammeter. When it is for the second option B, we find that now the same 2 diodes are end to end connected, that means they are in series. So, once again current will be shown by the ammeter. Come to this third figure. Here we are having 2 diodes connected slightly in a different way. I mean to say, the upper diode is found to be forward biased and the lower diode is found to be reverse biased. So, when any one of the diodes is found to be biased, definitely current will be shown by the ammeter. And in the last option that we are having, we find that the first diode itself is reverse biased. So, whenever diodes are found to be reverse biased, we can't expect any flow of current through the ammeter. And as per our question, which circuit will not show current in ammeter will be the fourth option. Next question, the IV characteristics of a PN junction diode is as shown. The approximate dynamic resistance of the PN junction when a forward bias of 2 volt is applied is. In the figure that has been mentioned to us, it has been indicated with x axis to be the voltage, and we are mentioned with the readings of 2 and 2.1 in volts, whereas in the y scale it has been given current in milliampere with respect to the 2 points highlighted 400 and 800, and we are supposed to calculate what is the resistance with respect to this figure. Resistance is given as change in voltage with respect to the change in current. R will be equal to delta V by delta I, and when we simplify as per the following, delta V will become 2.1 minus 2 divided by delta I will be the change in current, 800 minus 400. So, this will be in milliampere, 10 power minus 3. Simplification of this will give us 0.1 multiplied by 10 power 3 divided by 400, which in fact becomes 100 divided by 400. Cancelling these two zeros, we find that it comes out to be 1/4, and 1/4 or 1 by 4 is equivalent to the second option with 0.25 ohms. Next question. In the given circuit, the current through the battery is, the figure has altogether 3 diodes, namely D1, D2 and D3, with various resistors connected in the following way: 5 ohms, 5 ohms, 10 ohms, 20 ohms, and there is a battery represented with 10 volts. And so the explanation for this type of diagram begins like this. We find that with respect to this battery, diode D3 happens to be forward biased, because P side is connected to the positive of the battery. When it comes to the next one, D1, N side is connected to the positive of the battery, and hence this diode is found to be reverse biased. When it is for D2, once again it is with respect to the positive of the battery, and so it is found to be forward biased. So only the diodes which are found to be forward biased will take part in circuit simplification, whereas the one which is found to be reverse biased, we have to eliminate it from the circuit solving. I mean to say, you have to just avoid this in your circuit simplification. Now, we observe that these two resistors are end to end connected, 5 and 5 ohms, and that will be in parallel with 20 ohms. And our question was, what is the current through the battery? That will be I. So I could be written as V divided by R effective equals to 10 volts divided by R effective. I will put it over here on this side. It is 10 into 20 divided by 10 plus 20, R1 into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So 200 divided by 30 will come at 20 by 3 in terms of ohms. And when I put it back in this relation, 20 by 3, we get 30 by 20, which is in fact 3 by 2, comes with 1.5, and so option A is the solution. Next question. A Zener diode having breakdown voltage equal to 15 volts is used in a voltage regulator circuit as shown in the figure. The current through the diode is, and the explanation for this will be like this. So we have a Zener diode whose breakdown voltage has been specified at 15 volts. Across this will be the 1 kilo ohm resistor, and let me say these are the following currents flowing through different parts. Across the 1 kilo ohm resistor, we have I suffix 1 kilo ohm. Across the Zener diode, I have I suffix Zener, and across this 250 ohm will be I suffix 250 ohm. Let me begin saying that once the voltage passes across this portion, that is 1 kilo ohm resistor, practically the voltage will remain unchanged. So, I suffix 1 kilo ohm could be written as V by R, that will be this voltage 15 divided by 1 kilo means 10 power 3 in ohms. So, we will get it as 15 into 10 power minus 3. Since it is current, we will be having in ampere, 15 milliampere namely. Then when it is across this 250 ohm resistor, we can say this left hand side will be at 20 volts and across the Zener diode the breakdown voltage happens to be 15 volts. So, we can expect the potential difference across this to be 5 volts. So, I suffix 250 ohms will be equal to V by R. So, it will be 5 divided by 250 will become 1 divided by 50, which will be 20 milliampere. But our question was, what is the current flowing through the diode? Therefore, I can say current flowing through the Zener diode will be equal to current which was flowing through the 250 ohm resistor minus of current which was flowing through the 1 kilo ohm resistor. So, 20 milliampere minus 15 milliampere comes at 5 milliampere and hence option B. Question number 13. The forbidden energy gap in germanium is 0.72 eV given Hc equals 12,400 eV angstrom. The maximum wavelength of radiation that will generate the electron hole pairs is. So, we have lambda is equal to Hc by E suffix g. Hc product is mentioned to us with 12,400 eV angstrom. And the energy gap is with respect to 0.72 eV. Since the units in the numerator as well as the denominator are going to cancel with respect to each other, division of 12,400 with respect to 0.72 will be the third option with 17,222 angstrom. Question number 14. Semiconductor devices whose characteristics given below in the order A, B, C, D, R. So, my dear students, we can observe different particular curves we are having one after the other, and as per the theory part that we have seen in terms of the chapter semiconductor electronics, first one represents a simple diode wherein it has been shown in terms of the forward bias characteristics. The second one will be the Zener diode wherein it will operate especially in the reverse bias. The third one stands for the solar cell wherein it is the fourth quadrant graph, and lastly that we are having a resistance with respect to intensity of light stands for what we call it as a light dependent resistance. So, the option happens to be the fourth one. Question number 15. If in a PN junction diode a square input signal of 10 volt is applied as shown, then the output signal across R suffix L will be. So, students, we have a circuit like this at present. There is a PN junction across something called load resistor, which has been indicated over here as RL. It is a part of a typical circuit. Now, this circuit is in fact belonging to a classification known as half wave rectification. Yes. So, what is a half wave rectifier? Let me tell you in short as per the theory part. So, whenever during the positive half cycle of input AC is given to the following diode, the diode will be in fact forward biased and hence output will appear across the load resistor, whereas during the negative half cycle the diode will get reverse biased and hence it will never conduct, and so we can't expect any output across the load resistor RL. And looking at these typical 4 figures that we are having with respect to the input signal that has been shown over here, we can say that during the positive half cycle, that means over here since the diode is going to conduct, we can expect that it should be belonging to the 4th option. Next one, for the given electric voltage signal, the DC value is. So, this figure represents the output of a full wave rectifier, wherein all the pulses are present for a given time interval, and we find that there is something like some voltage of 6.28 has been shown with the dotted line, which is known as the peak voltage. So, for a full wave rectifier circuit, we have the DC value given like this, 2 times peak value by pi. On simplification, we get 2 into V naught is 6.28 divided by 3.14, and this number will go exactly 2 times and hence we obtain 4 volts. So, option C is the solution. Next question, an NPN transistor can be considered to be equivalent to 2 diodes connected. Among the following figures, the correct representation of it is, and the 4 different figures are mentioned like this now. So, my dear students, the solution goes like this for the following question. We have the 3 essential regions for a transistor, which is a 3-terminal semiconducting device. E stands for emitter, B stands for the base, and C stands for collector. So, in short, in the figures we write it as E, B and C like this now. As you can see here, this following side represents the P side for the first diode, and with respect to these 2 terminals which are connected together, they represent the N type semiconductors. On the other side, we are having once again a P type semiconductor. So, in fact, the first option comes out with a PNP type transistor. When it is for the second option that we are having here, on my left hand side, this emitter represents a N type semiconductor, and both these regions are joined together, namely the P side, and on the other side that we are having with respect to the collector, this will be N. And as per our question, the correct representation of a NPN transistor will be the second option. Next question, when a NPN transistor is used as an amplifier? We are mentioned with the following options right now. First option says electrons move from base to the collector. Second option says holes move from emitter to the base. Third one says electrons move from collector to the base, and lastly holes move from base to the emitter. So, students, when it comes to a transistor, there are three regions, and that is what I have indicated over here with E standing for emitter, B standing for base, and C standing for collector. And under that I have indicated with the indication of N, P and N. So, the main function of the emitter is to emit the charge carriers. Base is the one which controls the flow of these charge carriers, and when it comes to collector, it is the one which collects or gathers these charge carriers. So, whenever the emitter emits charges, it will flow through the base and reach the collector this way, and hence our option will be A. Electrons will move from base to the collector. Question number 19. A NPN transistor conducts when? Option A says both collector and emitter are positive with respect to the base. Second option says collector is positive and emitter is negative with respect to the base. Third one says both collector and emitter are negative with respect to the base, and fourth one says none of these. So, students, this is a simple circuit representation of a NPN transistor when it is found to be biased. So, what we have right now is a collector region, a base region and a emitter region, and when it comes to a NPN transistor, as per the question, always there are the following biasings to be done. The emitter base junction is always said to be forward biased, whereas the collector base junction is said to be reverse biased with respect to the two power supplies. And when this thing takes place, we say a NPN transistor is said to be conducting, and for that, as per the options that we are having, collector is found to be positive. I mean to say this collector is found to be positive and emitter is found to be negative, that is this one is found to be negative with respect to the base, and so option B is the solution for this. Next question. In an NPN transistor, the collector current is 24 milliampere. If 80% of the electrons reach collector, then its base current in milliammeter is. So, for a transistor, there is a relation which is represented like this: emitter current is equal to the sum of base and collector current, IE equals IB plus I suffix C. So, it has been said the collector current is 24 milliampere, and the base current has to be verified. For that, let us see what has been mentioned right now. If 80% of the electrons reach the collector, % of the electrons reaching collector implies collector current, IC, which is equal to 80% of IE. I suffix C was given to us with 24 milliampere. 80% represents 80 by 100 times I suffix E. Simplification of this will give us I suffix E equals 240 by 8 as 30 milliampere, and when written in this main equation we find that the base current IB equals 6 milliampere, and hence option D is the solution. Question number 21. For a common base configuration of a PNP transistor, IC by IE equals 0.96, then the maximum current gain in the common emitter configuration will be. So, for a transistor we have beta parameter calculated like this: alpha divided by 1 minus alpha. In fact, alpha and beta are the representations when it comes to current gains. Then IC by IE, as the question has been specified, 0.96 itself will be equal to alpha, and when represented here backwards we have 0.96 divided by 1 minus 0.96. So, 0.96 divided by 0.04, which comes at 24, and hence option C is the right answer. Next question. For a transistor, the parameter beta equals 99, the value of parameter alpha is. The relation between alpha and beta can also be represented like this: alpha equals to beta by 1 plus beta. As per this question, beta is mentioned as 99 divided by 1 plus 99. So, 99 divided by 100 gives 0.99, and so option A will be the right option. Next question. A NPN transistor having AC current gain of 50 is to be used to make an amplifier of power gain of 300. The voltage gain of the amplifier is. So, we have a relation like this: power gain given as voltage gain into current gain. Power gain has been mentioned with 300 and current gain is mentioned with 50. This will give on simplification as 300 by 50 equals 6, and so option second is the right answer. Next question. The circuit diagram shows a logic combination with the states of outputs X, Y and Z given for the inputs P, Q, R and S, all at state 1. When input P and R change to state 0 with inputs Q and S still at 1, then the states of outputs X, Y and Z change too. So, students, a small explanation based on logic gates we will have right now. So, for two inputs A and B, usually that we have in the circuits. We have the following different combination of logic gates as per our syllabus. The logic symbol of AND gate will be like this, with the expression given as y equals a dot b, and in AND gate we will have the output as 1 or high when both the inputs are high, otherwise they are always low. In terms of OR gate, for two inputs A and B, the output is given as y equals to A plus B, and the output is available when any one of the input is high or both the inputs are high, otherwise it is always low. When it comes to the NAND gate, we have a bubble represented here at the output, and it becomes y equals a dot b whole bar or complement, and the output is given as per the following equation, wherein when both the inputs are high, output is low. When it comes to the NOR gate, we have the given typical logic symbol as follows, followed by the expression y equals a plus b whole complement, and the output is available when both the inputs are low. Whereas I have written here separately the NOT gate, the one with only single input. All these which we have observed are two input gates. When it comes to the NOT gate, we have the representation like a triangle followed by a bubble, and the expression which is given as per the syllabus will be y equals a bar. So, students, we will begin this way at present. As per the question, it has been said, when input P and R change to state 0, I mean to say this P as well as this R becomes 0. Let us follow the truth tables which we have represented just few minutes back. So, for the AND gate, 0 and 1 will give you the output as 0. So, x will turn out to 0. When it comes to this NOR gate that we are having over here, inputs of 0 and 1 will give you the output as 0, and when this 0 passes through the NOT gate, output will remain at 1 itself, and inputs of 0 and 1 for the NOR gate, that is here that we are having, will give you the output as 0 itself, and hence x will be at 0, y will be at 1, z will be at 0. So, 0, 1, 0 will be the third option. Question number 25. The circuit is equivalent to. So, right now we are having a NOR gate, then followed by a NAND gate, and lastly the NOT gate. So, we will begin with the solution right now. When A and B are the two inputs given to the NOR gate, we can write it as A plus B whole bar, and this output will become the common input for the sorted NAND gate, and hence we can write it over here as A plus B bar, once again complement, which is equal to A plus B itself, because double complement will cancel, giving you the same result, and the input of A plus B, when it comes to the NOT gate, we have finally y given to be as A plus B whole complement, and A plus B whole complement will be the output of the NOR gate, which will be the first option. Next question. In the circuit given, A, B and C are the inputs and y is the output. The output of y is. So, students, let us see with the solution at the moment. So, we are having A, B and C as the inputs for these two gates which are specified. Let me say if I was to begin with all inputs as zeros, 0 and 0 as the input for the NOR gate, I would get it as 1. So, 1 will become the input right now for the AND gate, and along with 0 I will get it as 0. So, the right option for this will be the fourth option. It will be low for all the low inputs. Question number 27, given figure shows the waveforms for two inputs A and B and that for output Y of a logic circuit. The logic circuit is. So, students, let us see a different problem from the earlier ones that we have seen in logic gates, something based on these timing signals. So, when we are having a signal somewhat represented like this stands for the high state and the following represents the low level or low state. So, high will be represented as 1 and low will be represented as 0. So, as per this timing signal, let me say I am going to introduce a different type of truth table, and how we are going to complete it, let us observe. So, let me begin with the time intervals on one side and inputs A and B over here, and lastly followed by output. So, let me say when I start from the time interval 0 to t1, between 0 to t1 we find that when A is low and B is low, output is also low. So, I can say that when A is 0 and B is 0, output Y is also 0. Let me go for the next time interval from t1 to t2. So, between t1 to t2, when A is low, that means at 0, B is at high state 1, whereas the output will be in the low state itself at 0. Next, from t2 to t3, we can observe that when A is at high state 1, B is at low state, that is 0, and output is also at low state, that is 0. And lastly, from t3 to t4, we find that when the inputs A and B both are at high state, namely 1 and 1, output is also high. And finally, we observe from this table that the output corresponds to that of the AND gate, namely 0 0 0 1. Question number 28. The logic gates giving output 1 for the inputs of 1 and 0 are. So, just few minutes back that we had observed with the different truth tables. So, as per the question, we are going to get the solution of D, that is the NAND and OR gate. They are the ones which are giving you output 1 for the inputs of 1 and 0. Next question. The device that can act as a complete electronic circuit is an integrated circuit, option A. So, now we move on to the next unit, that is some questions based on electromagnetic waves. So, question number 30. TV waves have a wavelength range of 1 to 10 meters. Their frequency range in MHz, namely megahertz, is. So, I begin it like this, nu 1 standing for the first frequency will be equal to c divided by lambda 1, c standing for the speed of light. So, 3 into 10 power 8 divided by initial wavelength comes at 1 meter. So, 3 into 10 power 8 hertz. This could also be written as 300 into 10 power 6 hertz, which itself becomes 300 megahertz. Followed by the next one, nu 2 will be equal to c divided by lambda 2. Speed of light remains the same, divided by the next wavelength comes at 10. So, 3 into 10 power 7. This could be written also like this now as 30 into 10 power 6 hertz will be equal to 30 megahertz. So, the option will be the first one, 30 to 300. 31. The speed of electromagnetic wave in vacuum depending upon the source of radiation. We know that when it comes to vacuum, there will not be practically any difference at all, and hence option C is the right answer, will be the same for all of them. 32. An electromagnetic wave going through vacuum is described by the equation E equals E naught sine of kx minus omega t. Which of the following is independent of wavelength? And we are having different representations right now. First one we will begin with, it has been given as k, one which is known as propagation constant, and k is said to be equal to 2 pi by lambda. That means k is depending on the wavelength. Next, when it comes to omega, we have that given as 2 pi nu, which is equal to 2 pi c by lambda. Coming to the third one, that is k divided by omega. We have seen here k was 2 pi by lambda, and when divided by omega, which is 2 pi c by lambda. So, 2 pi and 2 pi along with lambda will cancel, giving us 1 by c. So, that is the option which is in fact independent of the wavelength. There is no term of lambda which consists in this part. Question number 33. A new system of units is evolved in which the values of mu naught and epsilon naught are 2 and 8 respectively. Then the speed of light in this system will be. Speed of light is given by the equation c equals 1 divided by root of mu naught into epsilon naught, and according to the question we find the following numbers right now. Mu naught and epsilon naught are 2 and 8 respectively. So, this will be 1 by root of 16 comes at 1/4, which is 0.25, and hence option A is the right answer. Next question. The wavelength of short radio waves, microwaves, ultraviolet waves are lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 respectively. Arrange them in the decreasing order. So, my dear students, let me write these different radiations in the following way in short. So, R standing for the radio waves, M for the microwaves, I for infrared, V for visible, U for ultraviolet, X for X-rays, and G for gamma rays. And our question here was arrange them in the decreasing order of wavelength. That means when I am going from higher order to the lower order, we find that radio waves, microwaves and ultraviolet waves are going in this way. That will be the option number second, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3. Question number 35. The ratio of the amplitude of magnetic field to the amplitude of electric field for an electromagnetic wave propagating in vacuum is equal to, they are saying very clearly about the amplitudes of the two particular fields. So, we will begin like this. We know that E naught is equal to C into B naught. So, this is the relation that connects between the amplitude of electric field with respect to that of magnetic field, and C standing for the speed of light in vacuum. So, they say here the ratio of the amplitude of magnetic field, that means B naught divided by E naught will be equal to 1 by C, and hence it will be the third option, reciprocal of the speed of light in vacuum. Question number 36. So, students, we have this question from the next topic, that is dual nature of matter and radiation. The stopping potential versus frequency plot of a substance is shown. In this given figure, the threshold wavelength is. So, threshold wavelength lambda naught can be written as C divided by nu naught, where nu naught represents the threshold frequency. So, speed of light 3 into 10 power 8 divided by nu naught. So, when we come to this following figure, the threshold frequency represents the digit 5 followed by the power 10 power 14 in hertz. 5 into 10 power 14, 3 divided by 5 will be 0.6 multiplied by 10 power minus 6, and on simplification we find that this comes at 6000 angstroms, and hence option B is the right answer. Next question. The energy of the incident photon is 4 eV and the work function is 2 eV, then the stopping potential is. So, we have an expression based on Einstein's photoelectric equation this way: energy of the incident photon is equal to the work function plus maximum kinetic energy of the emitted electrons. So, in this case they are saying energy of the incident photon is 4 eV and the work function is given as 2 eV. Simplifying this, we have K max will be equal to 2 eV, and on dividing like this K max by E, I get it as 2 volts, which itself refers to the stopping potential. And hence option A is the right answer. Next question. For the Bohr's first orbit of circumference 2 pi r, the de Broglie wavelength of a revolving electron will be. We can write it as 2 pi r equals n lambda. Circumference of the circular orbit will be equal to an integral multiple of wavelength. When n equals 1, I can say lambda equals 2 pi r, and hence option C is the right solution. Next question. The ratio of de Broglie wavelengths of proton and alpha particle of same energy will be. We have the relation given for lambda as h divided by square root of 2m into E. And in this question they have said same energy. So, I can write it as lambda is inversely related to the mass for same energy E. They say the ratio of proton and alpha particle. So, I will write it as lambda suffix p for proton with respect to lambda alpha for the alpha particle. This becomes square root of m alpha divided by m suffix p. When it comes to mass of the alpha particle with respect to the proton, I can write it as 4 with respect to 1, and on solving we end with 2 by 1. So, it will be the first option 2:1. Number 40, if particles are moving with the same velocity, then the maximum de Broglie wavelength will be for, I can say lambda is equal to h by mv, and based on this lambda we can specify is inversely related to the mass. Since they have said same velocity, I can say it is for the same v. Next, as we observe these following different options, first option says neutron, second one with proton, third one for the beta particle, and last one for the alpha particle. The particle having the smallest mass will be having the highest wavelength, and hence option C is the right answer, that is beta particle. So, question number 41 goes like this: the correct Boolean operation represented by the circuit diagram drawn is, and this happens to be a question of NEET 2019. So, students, let us see what is present in the circuit at present. We are having two switches given by A and B, and 0 and 1 represent there are two stages, 0 for the open state and 1 for the closed state, and there is a small bulb, respectively a LED, we call it as, shown by the output Y. So, A and B are the inputs, Y will be the output, and there is a voltage plus 6 volts coming across this resistor, and one more resistor is there whose other end has been shown to be grounded. So, how to verify the option based on the logic representations of zeros and ones? Let us have a look at the same. So, I begin with the inputs A and B with the following conditions 0 0, 0 1, 1 0 and 1 1, and on the output side let us see how we are going to get the solution for the same. So, when I say both inputs A and B are zeros, that means to say the switches are open, this will definitely become an open path, but the LED will be glowing as per the circuit. So, we are having the output as 1. Next, when I say A is in fact opened and B is closed, this will be a open circuit, but the LED is still found to glow. In the third case, when A is closed and B is open, still it is an open path, LED will be glowing. But in the last case, we observe that when A and B, both the switches are found to be closed, then this is what we call it as a shorted path, wherein this time the current will be found to be flowing through the path of least resistance, and hence LED will not be glowing for the last condition. And when we observe these typical output stages of 1 1 1 and 0, the solution for this will be the NAND gate. Question number 42. For a p-type semiconductor, which of the following statement is true? This is once again a question based on NEET 2019, and we find that we are mentioned with 4 different options like this. Option number A says holes are the majority carriers and pentavalent atoms are the dopants. Option B says electrons are the majority carriers and pentavalent atoms are the dopants. Option C says electrons are the majority carriers and trivalent atoms are the dopants, and the last option says holes are the majority carriers and trivalent atoms are the dopants, and the right option is fourth one. Question number 43. The circuit shown below contains 2 ideal diodes, each with a forward resistance of 50 ohms. If the battery voltage is 6 volts, then the current through the 100 ohm resistance, that is over here we are having in the figure, what will it be? A question of JEE 2019. So, we have 2 diodes D1 and D2 and then 3 resistors, namely 150 ohms, 75 ohms and 100 ohms, a battery with 6 volts. Students, we will see how the biasing of these diodes has been done. As you can see, when it comes to diode D1, it has been forward biased. So, I will write it in short as FB. When it comes to diode D2, with respect to the battery connections, it is said to be reverse biased. And we know that as per the theory, whenever the diode is reverse biased, we avoid it from circuit simplification with respect to the entire branch that is being involved. So, when I eliminate this from the part of the circuit that has been mentioned, okay, so the current through the 100 ohm resistance, I can say that I is equal to V divided by R effective. V happens to be this voltage at 6, and then effective resistance. The question says there is already some forward resistance of 50 ohms for this diode, 50 ohms, that will come into consideration at the moment. So, 50 plus 150 along with 100, all these 3 are found to be in series and hence they get added up. So, 6 divided by 300 will come as 1 divided by 50 times, and 1 by 50 on simplification will give us the first option with 0.02 ampere. Next question, number 44. For the circuit shown below, the current through the Zener diode is, a question of once again JEE 2019. So, we have a power supply with 120 volts, a 5 kilo ohm resistor, Zener diode with a breakdown voltage of 50 volts and a resistor followed by 10 kilo ohms across that. So, students, let us begin with the solution part of the same. So, I have represented here across this 10 kilo ohm resistance, the current that will be flowing will be I suffix 10 kilo ohms, and across the Zener diode will be I suffix Zener, and here we have across the 5 kilo ohm resistance the current happening to be I suffix 5 kilo ohms. So, let me begin with the following. I suffix 10 kilo ohms will be equal to V by R. So, the voltage across this resistance will be the one which we are having across the Zener diode, that will be 50 divided by 10 kilo ohms, 10 into 10 power 3. So, this will be available as 5 into 10 power minus 3 ampere, which becomes 5 milliampere. Then after that, let me say across this resistor there will be a potential difference of 120 with respect to 50, that will be equal to 70 volts. So, right now the current across the 5 kilo ohm resistance will be voltage by resistance, that will be this potential 70 divided by 5 kilo ohms, 5 into 10 power 3. So, 70 divided by 5, we get it as 14 into 10 power minus 3 ampere, which will be equal to 14 milliampere. And lastly, we wanted to know what was the current across the Zener diode, and hence current across the Zener diode could be written as the difference of the following. I suffix 5 kilo ohms, we had it at 14 milliampere minus 5 milliampere, which comes at 9 milliampere, and hence option C is the right answer. So, this will be the next question. Number 45, the output of the given logic circuit is, question of JEE 2019. So, we find that A and B are the two inputs and there is the output at this end Y. We find different combination of logic gates. Let us see how to simplify them right now. So, students, let us see how to proceed with the solution of this following combination of logic gates. So, we have over here right now the first NAND gate. The output of this could be written as first into second AB whole bar. Then this is the same first input that comes over here, and at the moment we are having AB bar as the next input for the second NAND gate. So, the output of this could be now written as first into second input whole bar. Then this B will remain as it is when it comes over here, and AB bar when it comes as the input for the OR gate. We have the output of the OR gate written like this, AB bar plus B. And lastly, when it comes onto this, how to calculate the final output? Let us have a look at the same. So, Y is now equal to first into second the whole bar, that is A into AB bar whole bar first input into the second input given as AB bar plus B the whole complement or whole bar. First input into second input the whole complement. So, whenever we have expressions like this, then it will be very useful when we introduce two theorems given by De Morgan, and here they are as follows. I will introduce them on this side. De Morgan's theorems. The first one goes like this: A into B whole bar could be written as A bar plus B bar, whereas the next theorem could be expressed like this: A plus B whole bar will be equal to A bar dot B bar. After that, how to simplify? Right now, let us have a look at the same. So, as per first into second whole complement could be split up and written like this as follows now: A into AB bar once again bar plus, because this multiplication could be split up and shown as addition there, AB bar plus B the whole bar. Next, double complement will cancel and this right now becomes A into AB bar plus here this could be split up and written as AB double bar and addition could be written as multiplication of the individuals into B bar. After that, this splitting up further, I could write it like this: first into second whole bar could be written as A bar plus B bar plus double complement will cancel, which will give you as AB itself into B bar. Now, on simplifying this further, A into A bar plus A into B bar plus AB into B bar. So, we have small identities in the simplification of these results, which I will be representing here. The first one will be like this: A into A bar will be equal to 0, as well as B into B bar also will be ending with the same result 0. So, when I say on simplification of this 0 plus A into B bar plus this ending with 0, finally our solution ends with the A B bar, and hence the solution will be the second option, A into B bar. Next question: the reading of the ammeter for a silicon diode in the given circuit is a question of JEE 2018. So, there is a battery with the indication of 3 volts and they have mentioned clearly here as the silicon diode. Followed by that will be a resistor with a resistance of 200 ohm, and here is the given ammeter whose reading we are supposed to verify. So, let me begin like this: I will be equal to V divided by R. So, remember students, they have given very clearly the indication of a silicon diode. So, for silicon diode there is something called a potential barrier around 0.7 volts typically I can say, and when I take the difference of the given applied voltage and for the silicon diode as 0.7 voltage, I can write it as 3 minus 0.7. This will be the representation of the voltage as per the indication of silicon diode. Further, when it comes to the resistance with 200, I can say this will become 2.3 by 200. So, 2.3 by 200, simplification of this will give you the third option with 11.5 milliampere. Question number 47. In a PN junction diode, the change in temperature due to heating, a question of NEET 2018. First option says it affects the overall VI characteristics of the PN junction. Second option goes like this: affects only the reverse resistance. Third one says does not affect the resistance of the PN junction, and lastly affects only the forward resistance. So, my dear students, as per the theory part you have seen in your regular classes, the right option is the first one. It affects the overall VI characteristics of the PN junction. Next question: in the combination of the following gates, the output Y can be written in terms of inputs A and B as, a question of NEET 2018. So, here we find once again different combination of logic gates this way. There are two inputs A and B, and there are two AND gates, two NOT gates and a OR gate. Followed by that is output Y. So, let us begin with the solution right now. So, this A, when it comes over here, will remain as it is. Then B, when it passes through the NOT gate, will become B bar. So, the AND gate says the output is the product of the inputs, which is A into B bar. When it comes to the next second combination of logic gates over here that we are having, let us see what happens now. A, when it comes here, passes through the NOT gate, will become A bar. Then B will come directly as it is. The output of this AND gate will become A bar dot B or A bar into B. Finally, the output Y could be written as Y is equal to A into B bar plus A bar into B as per the final result that we are having. This belongs to the combination of the last one, A dot B bar plus A bar dot B with the fourth option. So, question number 49, which one of the following represents forward bias diode? That is a question of NEET 2017. Forward bias means to say voltage across the P side should be bigger with respect to the voltage across the N side, and when it comes to all the different options, let us see what they are. So, here we are having 0 volt at P side and minus 2 volt at the N side. That means 0 is bigger than minus 2. So, this is a condition of forward bias. When it comes to the second figure that you can see, minus 4 volt on the P side and minus 3 volt on the N side will make it reverse bias. In the third figure, as you can see, minus 2 volt is on the P side and plus 2 volt is on the N side. That means, in this case once again it is reverse bias, and in the last option that we are having, 3 volt is on the P side and 5 volt is on the N side. This is also reverse bias. So, as per the four options that we have observed, the right solution will be the first one itself with the forward bias, option A. Question number 50. The circuit is equivalent to a question of NEET 2017, the NOR gate followed by the NAND gate and then followed by the NOT gate. We have seen this question just few minutes back, my dear students, and the solution for this comes out to be the first one, that is the NOR gate on simplifying. Question number 51. The given circuit has two ideal diodes connected as shown in the figure below. The current flowing through the resistance R1 will be a question of NEET 2016. So, there is a power supply with 10 volt specification, two diodes D1 and D2 respectively, three resistors are there, R1 with 2 ohms, R2 with 3 ohms and over here lastly R3 with 2 ohms. Students, let us continue with this problem at the moment. So, diode D1, as per the battery specifications, we come to know that this P side is connected to the negative of the battery, and hence this first diode will be reverse biased. Reverse biased diodes never take part in the circuit simplification. When it comes to the second diode, the P side of this D2 is connected to the positive of the battery and N side of this is connected to the negative of the battery, and hence this is found to be forward biased. So, on eliminating this portion, since it will not become a part of the circuit, current flowing through the resistance R1 I will be equal to V divided by, in fact it is like this right now, I is equal to V by R effective. So, voltage will be 10, and I can say these two resistors are found to be in series. So, they are going to get added up. So, 10 by 4 will end at 2.5, and 2.5 ends with the second option. Next question. The output Y in the following circuit when all the three inputs A, B, C are first 0 and then 1 is a question of NEET 2016. So, here we are having two logic gates with three inputs, and Y happens to be the output of this P and Q. So, we will begin with the solution this way, students, with the two indications I have done for the same circuit. So, as per the question, it says when all the three inputs A, B, C are first 0, it means to say A is 0, B is 0 and C is 0. When A and B both are 0, this AND gate is going to give you 0 as the result. Whereas, when 0 and 0 are the inputs given to a NAND gate, we are going to get the output as 1. Later the question says inputs are all becoming 1s. It means to say A is 1, B is 1 and C is 1. When inputs are 1 1 for this AND gate, the output will be 1, and for this NAND gate, when the inputs are 1 and 1, the output will become 0. So, 1 and 0, that comes out to be the first option. Next question. The energy associated with electric field is U suffix E and with magnetic field is U suffix B for an electromagnetic wave in free space. Then a question of JEE 2019. So, when it is with respect to free space, there will not be any difference between the two. So, that will be the third option itself. UE will be equal to UB. Question number 54. If the magnetic field of a plane electromagnetic wave is given by B equals 100 into 10 power minus 6 sine of 2 pi into 2 into 10 power 15 T minus x by C, then the maximum electric field associated with it is, the speed of light has been mentioned with the 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, a question of JEE 2019. So, for this question I say the relation between the two amplitudes E naught will be equal to C into B naught. Then let me say, in fact, here the amplitude of this magnetic field will be 100 into 10 power minus 6. The speed of light is a constant 3 into 10 power 8. So, reducing these numbers further gives 300 into 10 power 2, or that could be rightly shown as 3 into 10 power 4, which belongs to the fourth option. Next question. An electromagnetic wave is propagating in a medium with a velocity vector v equals v into I cap. The instantaneous oscillating electric field of this electromagnetic wave is along the plus y axis. Then the direction of oscillating magnetic field of the electromagnetic wave will be along. So, students, we are very clear that the EM wave has been propagating along the given direction I cap, and whenever this happens, there will be always electric and magnetic fields oscillating at right angles to each other. So, since it has been already mentioned that electric field is given along the positive y axis, the typical solution for this with respect to the magnetic field should be the last option, that is the positive z direction. Number 56, out of the following options, which one can be used to produce a propagating electromagnetic wave? A question of NEET 2016. So, the different indications right now mentioned are as follows. First option says a stationary charge, second one says a chargeless particle, third one an accelerating charge, and lastly a charge moving at constant velocity. So, it will be the third option for an accelerating charge. Next question, a particle moving with kinetic energy E has de Broglie wavelength lambda. If energy delta E is added to its energy, then the wavelength becomes lambda by 2. The value of delta E is a question of JEE 2020. So, let us begin like this. Lambda equals to h by square root of 2m_e in the first case. Later we can say that lambda by 2 will be equal to h divided by square root of 2m into e plus delta E as per the given statement. I will keep it as equation number second. Now, this when I am going to divide it 1 with respect to 2, we get it like this, lambda whole divided by lambda by 2 equals h divided by root of 2m_e whole divided by h divided by root of 2m into e plus delta E. This when we reduce it further, we get lambda cancelled off, remaining will be 2 on the left side, h we can cancel along with 2m, and then we are having root of e plus delta E divided by E. So, continuing on this side, on squaring, the left hand side will become 4 and the right hand side will become E plus delta E divided by E, and on further solving we have 4E equals E plus delta E, and finally delta E equals 3E, and hence the solution will be the third option. An electron of mass m and a photon have the same energy E in the range of a few electron volt. The ratio of the de Broglie wavelength associated with electron and the wavelength of the photon is, c is the speed of light in vacuum and a question of JEE 2020. So, let us begin with the solution this way. E equals to hc divided by wavelength of the photon. I will take it as an expression number 1. Then when it comes to the wavelength of the electron, we can write it as h divided by square root of 2m_e will be the second expression. And they have said here in the statement the ratio of the de Broglie wavelength associated with electron with respect to photon. Therefore, lambda suffix electron with respect to lambda suffix photon could be written now as h divided by root of 2me whole divided by hc by e. So, cancelling this Planck's constant h, then further we have lambda suffix electron by lambda suffix photon equals 1 by c into this, when I take it to the numerator, becomes e divided by root of 2m e. I will be keeping this inside the bracket. For the 1 divided by c, making it as a common square root, could be written as e square divided by 2m e. Cancelling e in the numerator as well as denominator, finally we get it like this 1 by c, and the term inside this bracket could be written also as e divided by 2m whole power half, and that belongs to the second option. Question number 59. An electron is accelerated through a potential difference of 10,000 volt. Its de Broglie wavelength nearly is, they have given it here m suffix e, the mass of the electron to be 9 into 10 power minus 31 kg, a question of NEET 2019. So, in this question we have the solution represented this way. In short, on simplification, lambda could be shown also as 12.27 divided by root v when it comes to angstroms. Since they have given the voltage here, this would be very suitable for us to simplify. 12.27 divided by root of 10,000 when it comes to angstroms itself. Then 12.27 divided by 100, and angstrom means 10 power minus 10 in meters, and in the last step could be written as 12.27 into 10 power minus 12 in meters, and finally this belongs to the fourth option. And the last question, when the light of frequency 2 nu naught, within the bracket we can observe that nu naught is the threshold frequency, is incident on a metal plate, the maximum velocity of electrons emitted is V1. When the frequency of the incident radiation is increased to 5 nu naught, the maximum velocity of electrons emitted from the same plate is V2. The ratio of V1 to V2 is a question of NEET 2018. So, as per this question, let me begin with the Einstein's photoelectric equation this way. Energy of the incident photon E will be equal to work function phi naught plus K max, maximum kinetic energy of the emitted photoelectrons. This right now could be written as per the statement this way. E means h into 2 times nu naught, phi naught could be written as h nu naught plus half m V1 square. Further simplifying this, I can say together could be written as h into nu naught will be equal to half m v1 square. So, this I will keep it as equation number 1. Secondly, I can further say based on the next statement wherein it says when the frequency of the incident radiation is increased to 5 nu naught, it means to say in the same way h into 5 nu naught will be equal to h nu naught plus half m v2 square. Simplifying this ahead, we get 4 h nu naught will be equal to half m v2 whole square, which I will keep it as an equation number 2. And on dividing 1 with respect to 2 on the left hand side, we find that we get 1 by 4 will be equal to v1 by v2 the whole square, or this could also be written as v1 by v2 equals half or 1:2. So, the option will be the second one. Thank you.